Hello everyone, my name is Greg Hu, and today I'm going to deliver my presentation, and my topic is the impact of the epidemic on China's medical protection industry. Okay, so now please take a look at the contents. There's 8 parts, and part 1 is the impact of the epidemic on technology, and the impact of the epidemic on raw materials. The epidemic has changed the way people work. The challenges of the epidemic for businesses, the impact of the epidemic on the recruitment of staff and how to recruit staff. And did you face a lot of competition from your peers during the epidemic, or is it more of a business opportunity? Has the rise of your industry under the epidemic affected or driven some other industries? And last one is the shortcomings of my interview. Okay, so now let's move to the first part, the impact of the epidemic on technology. The sudden outbreak of the epidemic has led to a substantial increase in the demand for protective products such as masks. The price of masks costing less than 1 piece reached 20 yuan at the beginning of the epidemic. Huge profits have attracted many factories to participate in the production of masks. This makes the demand for mechanical and electronic control also greatly increases. The prices of machines and raw materials related to the protective masks are increasing madly. Whoever has better machinery and better electronic control technology will make more profits. Therefore, mechanical manufacturing companies and electronic control companies actively update their products, and the huge profits make the mechanical and electronic control technology grow rapidly within 1 year. Oh well, please take a look at the part 2, the impact of the epidemic on raw materials. And the epidemic caused foreign materials to be difficult to transport to the country. The global supply chain hit the press button under the epidemic, and the supply chain crisis erupted. In terms of raw materials, companies have increased the frequency of communication with some of their regular suppliers, working together to find ways to overcome logistical barriers and ensure the supply of raw materials. For some of the imported raw materials, due to the stagnation of international shipping, brought about difficulties that could not be solved in the short term. Okay, now please take a look at part 3. The epidemic has changed the way people work. The change from everyone working in one office before the epidemic to work online, where everyone communicates in front of a computer, has made some employees uncomfortable. But as the outbreak has come in waves, most employees have adapted to working online, and although it has been difficult, I feel that this new way of working has worked to its benefit, even after its epidemic has ended, helping to deal with things in the company even when you're not there, which makes for much greater efficiency. Okay, here's the part 4, the challenges of the epidemic for businesses. The difficulties and challenges faced by the enterprises during the epidemic were mainly the difficulties caused by the supply chain crisis at home and abroad. The logistics crisis brought about by the domestic dynamic clearance policy, the closure of factories at home and abroad, the closure of ports and shipping stop lines, the onward cost of raw materials and other factors of production, and the decline in the efficiency of product turnover brought about the cash flow crisis, leading to a tight liquidity and increased pressure on business operations. There were also regular dynamic closures that prevented many key personnel from arriving on time. And part 5, the impact of the epidemic on the recruitment of staff and how to recruit staff. In terms of staff recruitment, which was also greatly affected by the epidemic, regular recruitment channels were hindered and restricted. We increased our efforts to in-network recruitment and increased the proportion of local staff by using local government platforms to release recruitment information, so as to achieve rapid and effective docking and targeted and accurate recruitment. At the same time, we also cooperate with some of the service industry enterprises that were almost shut down by the epidemic, and both sides cooperate in many ways through multiple channels such as transferring labor and sharing labor according to demand, so as to achieve win-win cooperation in resource sharing in terms of production and sales during the epidemic. We have planned to strengthen communication with all key customers to understand their needs and changes. At the same time, we have increased the depth of the Internet tools to improve the immediacy, flexibility, and convenience of communication to meet the needs of our customers in all aspects. Here's part 6. Did you face a lot of competitions from your peers during the epidemic, or is it more of a business opportunity? During the epidemic, companies were faced with huge difficulties and challenges. The crisis in the supply chains and the rising commodity prices brought about a significant increase in raw materials prices, among many other factors, severely tested companies. The epidemic has also brought huge challenges and opportunities for the industry to clean up and reshuffle, and I think it was brought about more business opportunities. Part of the strengths of insufficient, poor management, weak against risk, poor resistance to pressures of the enterprise in the epidemic were limited, but also to have the core competitiveness, low debt ratio, scientific management, flexible mechanism to adapt to the enterprises a real opportunity to overtake the bigger and stronger. Okay, now please let's move on to the part 7. Has the rise of your industry under the epidemic affected or driven some other industries? The medical supply industry was one of the industries that benefits from the epidemic, especially as the market for some of the products directly related to the epidemic grew exponentially. Upstream industries include component supply, medical raw materials, processors, and third-party services in electronics manufacturing, mechanical engineering, biochemical materials, etc. Mainstream and downstream industries include the production of medical devices and medical consumables, hospitals, medical checkup centers, hospitals, community health centers, etc. The epidemic has also stimulated the development of new technologies and products in the industry to a certain extent, and the whole industry has been driven by some favorable factors such as policies, technologies, markets, and capital. Okay, and here's the final part 8. The shortcomings of my interview. Because of the epidemic, I opted for an online Q&A interview format, which made it difficult for me to ask further questions. And if I had the opportunity, I would have met with the entrepreneurs face-to-face for further exchanges. Okay, and that's all for my presentation, and thank you for your listening.